And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills.
I can't catch a break, guys.
Yeah.
Get them the fuck away from me. I can't be around those guys.
People think, oh, well, cleaning your room, that's just a cliche. It's like, yeah, really, eh? Just go ahead and try it.
If people had any idea how powerful sleep is for healing from anything, and the fact that it's free.
My mind is absolutely bulletproof, solid as a rock.
Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Fighting Fit podcast, or the Fighting Fit show, or the podcast show, or welcome back to Fighting Fit, hosted by Chris Mulligan and Brandon Mulligan. No Stephen today, he is away, but we are absolutely furious as of the last 15 seconds. Chris brought a topic up. Chris, would you like to share with the lovely folks at home?
All right, so the current consensus that I have seen on social media about health and fitness is that you don't need to try really hard. It can be real simple, real easy, and that you can go out drinking on the weekends. You can have all the foods you love. You don't have to train really hard, and you'll still get all the results that you want. And that is the general vibe that I see, and I think it is hurting people more than it is helping people.
Right.
For some.
Counterpoint.
So the counterpoint, the reason that they're doing this is because we want people to feel okay with making mistakes, and you don't actually have to be perfect to start making progress. But one of the things that I see is like people say, "Oh, I've seen this video and thing, so I'm allowed to have this, I'm allowed to do this," and it's like you are always allowed to do it. But if it's like literally going against your diet plan and you feel like no sort of negative influence on it, and you don't want to make any positive change, or you're letting your positive changes slide just because you don't feel like it, will then like you're not going to get the results. Like when you're trying to get lean, when you're trying to get in good shape, Joe, a lot of the time you have to do stuff that you don't want to do. You have to suck it up, and you have to do it regardless of the fact whether or not you want to. And I think that people don't like that. It's not like nice and flowery, and it doesn't sell very well on the wholesome social media side.
True, but here's what I have to say about that is I agree. Wishy-washiness, no matter what your approach. If you have an extreme approach, being wishy-washy with it just isn't going to work. If you have a little bit more of a laissez-faire approach, but you actually understand the numbers, well, then you don't have to be an extremist and in order to get results. And obviously, then also it depends on your results. But for talk's sake, can you drink the weekends and lose fat? 100%.
Is it harder? Yes.
Yes. If you get drunk, it's definitely harder because realistically, right? If you want to get drunk, you can't be pissed all weekend. I would just say that. You're probably not going to be able to get away with being pissed all weekend and still lose weight. But you can make very smart switches, like for talk's sake, just stop drinking pints. Stop drinking pints. Pints and fat
low calorie, but their low calorie beers are actually like pretty handy.
Listen to me. How many are you drinking? If you're drinking 5, you're not going to be on point. Drink spirits and low calorie, whatever you want. If you want to get drunk, you can't have it both ways. You can get drunk, you can't drink your drink of choice. Deal with it. Grow up. Be a man, be a woman, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the only reason you're saying that is because you don't know how many. There's only 100 calories in a Coors Light.
So 500 calories. Yeah, pissed.
Yeah, but that's a bottle though as well.
That's a bottle. By the way, 100 bottles a night. So right, look, it's up to you. You can again, yeah. At the end of the day, it comes down to calories, but it also comes down to what kind of person are you when you're drunk. Drink is literally liquid fuck it. That's what drink is for me. Literally. Whatever I cared about going into drink, I do not care about by the end of it. And so it's like, right, oh yeah, all right, count me macros. Oh no, I don't eat the pizza. You're eating everything. You're gonna eat everything.
I'll make up for tomorrow.
Sure, I'll have a cocktail as well. Sure, I'll have a cocktail as well. Sure, only live once. Sure, my best friends are here. I'm drinking with my friends. Yeah. That's the problem with alcohol for me. Nights out and all that kind of stuff. It's not conducive to your goals. And also, you're gonna wake up the next day probably feeling like a big bag of shite. And then you're not going to be motivated. You might not go to the gym, might not go for a walk, might not plan your meals, might order takeout, might go to a shop, get a big greasy roll. So this is the kind of stuff that happens.
Now, if you don't have any goals and you don't have a thing to lose weight or anything like that, there, and you're not super serious about it, well, it's fine. It's fine if you gain weight. It's fine if you lose weight. It won't matter then. But if it's really important to you and you're really struggling to lose weight, like maybe cutting out alcohol for a while would be a good idea. You don't have to do it, but if you are. If you're not willing to cut out alcohol, you're not willing to restrict for a little bit, then everything else for the rest of the week has to be fucking dialed in. It has to be perfect.
Also, if you're the kind of person who can't cut out a drink, well, then maybe you're the kind of person who just doesn't have discipline or control at the minute, and maybe at the start of a bigger issue.
Or maybe you just have you're really popular and you have loads of friends and everyone wants to go out all the time, and that's one of the only ways that you like to socialize. And yeah, and it's fun. And maybe you have a really stressful week at work, and this is your only little escape for the week, and you need that to reset and rewind.
Well, maybe your job's too stressful, maybe your week's too stressful. If you need it, you might. The problem is, if that's the case, that you need it. You shouldn't be putting yourself into a situation that you need it. You should want it, and you should be allowed it, and you should treat yourself, and you should enjoy your life. But also, you can't just pull from the mind of I want, and I want to feel good, and no sacrifice at all. Like you have to sacrifice something. Maybe it's a late night, maybe it's a night with your friends, maybe it's the type of drink that you're drinking, maybe it's the kind of food that you're eating. It's just pulling back a little bit. I was listening to a coach, Greg Doucette, really, really good. And one of the things he says is like your food. If you want to lose weight and you want to be in the shape of your life, you can't have food 10 out of 10. Your food's never going to be 10 out of 10 if you want to be, but it could be 7 or an 8 on 10. He says on 10, 8 on 10. It wrecks my head, to be honest. That's what I'm going to say for the rest of this because that's what Greg Doucette says. It'll never be 10 on 10. You can't have 10 on 10 foods. You can have 7 on 10 or an 8 on 10, right? And that's good enough. And so this is kind of what brings me to the next thing is like if you are getting all your health and fitness advice from Instagram, all right, I wouldn't necessarily knock it. There's some great content out there on Instagram.
There really is.
Yeah, there really, really is. And Zach, Zack dot
Chug.
Chug, Zach.chug, Zach with a K, literally nailed it. It's like you can eat whatever food you want and get high protein and relatively low calories if you're cute and smart and plan your day. And it can taste, I would say, 9 on 10, right?
No,
honestly, insane. And so the thing about it is like, look, what way are you doing it? So can you, again, this is where I kind of agree with the thing about it is like, look, if you have an active lifestyle, if you have a desk job, you're going to have to sacrifice an hour a day. You're going to have to go for a walk if you want to lose weight, or you're going to have to eat very low calories. There's going to be a sacrifice has to be made. You're going to have to plan your meals, and you're probably going to have to do a little bit of meal prep. That's another sacrifice that you're going to have to make. You can't just wing it all day, every day, and will and want and desire and dream and wish to have the body you want. It's like, it's not good enough. Something like that.
You can, but it's just going to be a really frustrating process where you're not going to see results consistently. You're going to get demotivated by stepping on the scales and it's all over the place.
When I say you can't, I mean, obviously you can. You can wish to be a unicorn for all I care, but you can't actually have what you want just by wishing and wanting and dreaming and desiring and manifesting. It's like, it's just not going to work. It's like, now, generally speaking, the way that the human mind works is when you genuinely set your sights on something, you tend to move more towards it. But again, we've all said fuck it, and that is literally your body going, I'm gonna look the other way for the next week, day, month, year, or whatever it is. And people do that all the fucking time. They're like, right, Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, here we go again. And it just doesn't work. In our experience and in my own personal experience,
that's the only reason why I have that pet peeve is because I see people trying to do it. I see people trying to do it all the time, and then I'll have a chat with them. Like, oh, Joe, how'd your weigh go? They're like, oh, not good. I was at the weekend. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, no worries. It's like, how do you feel about it? And then they're like, oh, not good. Shouldn't have done it. They all regret it. And they're like, well, next week will be different. And then Friday comes around.
And we'll do it again. And we'll do it again next week. See you next week. See you next Monday. We'll do the exact same thing again. Look, this is really what it is about. Like, for me as a coach, one of the big changes I had to make is I had to stop chasing people like that. You know what I mean? It's like, look, now what I do is I try and plant seeds all the time, but I used to get so invested in them, but it's like, when you tie yourself to people like that emotionally, it's an up and down experience, to be honest, and it's a train that I've got off now. So I plant a wee seed and I'll see you Monday. I plant a wee seed and I'll see you Monday. I give you some advice and I'll see you Monday. So because realistically, with all the best advice in the world, and that's literally what we have. We literally have the best advice in the world because we've listened to the best coaches in the world. We understand what it is. It's really, really simple stuff. We have good tools. You can give good tools, but at the end of the day, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's the big thing is like, what do you need to take a big slug of? All right. Some people need a big, massive dose of reality, and it needs to be a health scare. Some people need, to catch themselves in a picture or a mirror, or someone needs to fucking call them fat when they've never been called fat before. And they literally get this massive negative shock. And it's like, right, that switches them on. For some people, they see somebody do something incredible, and it's a positive story, inspires them, say, no, this is it. This is what I want to do. But whatever it is, like until that switch flips, whatever vice you have, be it drink or food or putting your feet up or hanging with your friends, whatever your little escape is that pulls you a little bit further away from your dream every time you do it, or resets you back to the start, and you continue this process of Groundhog Day, you know, until you come to a place that you want what you want more than you want that thing. You know, it's going to be a frustrating experience. You cannot, as Chris said at the start of this, you can't do this kind of I don't need a walk, and I mean, I feel like this conversation is a bit like overly simplified. It's like, obviously you can't not move, obviously you can't eat whatever you want, obviously you can't drink at a weekend, obviously you can't just not sacrifice at all, obviously you can't go to bed or whatever time you want. But people they're still stuck in the trap. And so something that I'm a little bit interested in, this is kind of where I go, it's like, right, have your drink, but can we drink smarter? You know, is it right? Eat food, but can we plan and eat a little bit smarter? It's like, if we make 10% change here, 10% change here, 10% change here, we got a 40% increment. You do that for a year, we're bloody solid. And I've done that with loads of people, and it works time and time again. But you know, the issue with small marginal gains like that is that, like you said, like they really do have to be dialed in. But if you're dialing in across 4 different areas, you know, your life doesn't have to be miserable. You don't need to go down this super restrictive road. And in fact, it's not advised to go down a super restrictive road. But even getting people to a happy medium can be very, very difficult if they're entrenched in their bad habits or their opposing habits, let's say.
What do you think about people who have been gaining weight and then they start like a health and fitness program and then they stop gaining weight, but they're demotivated because they're not losing weight?
That's a good question. That's actually, what a great question. Yeah, like I definitely know an awful lot of clients that happens to. And again, what happens is that they were on a self-destructive path and they've only taken on a little bit, to be honest. And to be honest, it doesn't impress me.
It doesn't impress. Oh.
It doesn't really impress me. I think it's really important, but I don't think it's impressive. Obviously, look, depending on the extent, if somebody was really steamrolling uphill and they had a massive tragedy in their life and they just managed to pull the brake, that impresses me, because that's a massive change. You know, that's a massive. But people who go from terrible habits to mediocre habits generally doesn't impress me. And again, I can say it for myself, you know, that was me for the longest time. But again, like objectively, I didn't impress me then either. You know, it's not impressive to see somebody come to a standstill. You know, it's like, and what does impress me is somebody who puts the head down, does a load of work, and then maintains for a period of time, gets the reprieve, mentally refreshes, boom, puts the head down and goes again. Even if they go backwards, what really impresses me is seeing significant change and a significant, like, a change inside. When I see a change inside, I don't care what kind of change it is, but somebody who just barely, you know, toes the line, I don't know. I like, as a coach, I actually think it's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, it is. One of the things that frustrates me as a coach is seeing someone whose heart is in it and they go real hard for a week, but that real hard doesn't produce any results. So their effort is like misguided. And then because of all that misguided effort, they'll self-destruct and then go in the opposite direction after.
But when you say misguided, like what do you mean? Like, I mean, like
so
it's really, like for talk's sake, the only thing I can think of is like a woman on a cycle. No. Who gets a bad fluctuation based on the fact that she actually did the work. It's like that to me is misguided. Everything else is kind of like you're not.
I mean, like putting the effort in somewhere else. So like instead of snacking on chocolate bars, to start over snacking on protein bars, but to think they're being good. So something like that there. Do you get me? Like instead of getting a takeaway, just make like a massive meal on a Friday.
Yeah,
like
okay. They deserve 5 stars.
Huh?
They deserve 5 stars. That's good. That's a big change. You know what I mean?
It is. But again, the dinner might be absolutely horrendous. You know, it might be like way too many calories, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. But again, that does impress me.
Like, I'm going for a walk, but on my walk, I went to the shop and I bought a chocolate bar. Like something stupid like that there. Because I did this, now I get to have this, and just undo their work. But mentally and from their perspective, they put in all the effort. Do you know what I mean? They put in the effort, but they also rewarded themselves like way too much for it, and because of that, like they stagnate.
But again, right. So this is where kind of our two conversations link up. Is like it's the next week that's important, right? So for me, that's the start. Like when you start anything, you make so many mistakes. That's step one. I'm good with that. I'm good with switching the Chinese out for a big dinner. Right. yourself, it's time now to cut back the portions. Now when we start struggling, and now when we start to kind of buck back and fall off plan and start doing that stuff, is like, that is the eddy and hole that I've seen so many clients just never climb out of. It's like, look, you are not committed to change. You don't have a growth mindset. You have a fixed mindset, and you don't yet believe that you can change. And therefore, like, you think that this effort you put into is wasted. And it's like, you again, and fair enough. Like, I had to learn it. It's like, you need to understand that you're a human being that's capable of extreme growth, but it's going to be uncomfortable. So either you've got two choices. One, start believing that you can change, or two, you need to face up to the fact that you're not making yourself as uncomfortable as you should be in order to change.
How would you say that to someone who might be a little bit more sensitive and, you know, like, would almost take that as an insult?
So this is kind of where we're good. It's like, you let them save face, like, and so this is kind of where you say, you know, like, oh, no worries, we'll see you Monday. You know, it's like, right, cool. Look, I get it. We all make mistakes. Everybody slips up. Let's try it again, and we'll see Monday. And then if the same thing happens the next week, well, then again, you give them the correct information. If the same thing happens again the next week, you give them the correct information. If the same thing happens again the next week, you give them the correct information. And then after that, it's like, right, you're now starting to show a pattern. That pattern is concerning. And this is not personal. I believe that your heart's in the right place. But 4 weeks in a row, it's not the information that is starting to become the problem. It's you. And so we need to have
behavior. So therapy hat is put on, right? It's not you that's the problem. It's the behavior that's the problem.
Well, that's what I mean. The ball's in your court is what I mean. Sorry.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I think it is important to when you're dealing with people that you need to have some sort of level of compassion. Like you said, let them save face. You know, like, I think me, you, and Stephen. I wouldn't say it to a person like that. Yeah. I think me and you, Stephen, we can be pretty hard on ourselves, and we can, like, project that onto other people a little bit, because, like, it's like, I wasn't doing good enough there. I wasn't working hard enough. I wasn't putting in the effort. And we're okay with, Joe, that level of bluntness. But like, not everyone is, and sometimes you need a little bit more compassion, a little bit more.
Yeah, I was talking to a client about this on, I think, Friday. I had a goal review with them, and I literally said, it's like, you understand how uncharacteristically kind I'm being to you? And they're like, are you? And I was like, yeah, I haven't noticed that actually. And I was like, yeah, because it's what I feel like you need. It's like, not everybody gets the same thing. Some people get an arm around the shoulder because, again, you don't want to break their spirit. That's the whole thing. Some people you need to challenge because that inspires their spirit. That kind of gets them up and kind of gets them driving a little bit. But other people generally need an arm around their shoulder because you really can't break people's spirit, and that's not your job as a coach. Like, our job as a coach is to motivate. But the problem is with the people's spirit who you can break is, like, generally speaking, because they're so sensitive, is like that's their biggest obstacle, is because when something happens in life, you know, they kind of go in on themselves, and, you know, they're trying to massage their, you know, their wound, they're trying to cope a little bit. And look, people are sensitive, people are dealing with all kinds of stuff, and it's not my job necessarily to like, I want to try and inspire people to kind of come away from that. And obviously you're trying to, you know, through a little bit of friction every once in a while, toughen them up and help them understand, you know, their own patterns. But as I said, it's like, you can't just criticize people, generally anybody. But some people, like, again, if I criticized you in the right way and kind of started criticizing your ego a little bit, like, that would get you fired up. You're like, I'll fucking show you, because you're like,
well, it depends. So I think like, it depends on personality, like you said, but it also depends on Joe, what's going on in that person's life at the moment. Like, sometimes that might be the exact opposite of what someone wants to hear. That might be like, or even needs to hear. Like, so it's like, you're not fucking doing enough. It's like, my mom's in hospital, you leave me alone. Like, I'm working fucking 80 hours a week, so I've got kids screaming. It's like, what do you mean I'm not doing enough? Like, I'm doing better.
Yeah. Exactly. You know what I mean? Exactly. So it's for some people who, again, this is why you have to take everybody, you know, as they are. It's kind of like as a coach, like, one of the first, like, I can read people very, very well. You know, I've gotten better at it over time. It's like, as I said, it's like, yes, some people don't get the same approach. You know, so I can tell right away if somebody needs a kick in the arse, or, again, you say something to somebody and you kind of see the reaction. Like, and again, you test the water a little bit. You're like, oh, hey, how's it going? It's like, oh, how'd your Wayne go this week? And they're like, oh, like, all right, okay, you know, we'll have a conversation later. You know, how'd your Wayne go? Oh, I didn't do it. Get out there and get on them scales. You just got there. You go on away with you. You know what I mean? It's like, some people just respond differently to different things, and it's our job as coaches. And, you know, obviously, again, because we want to have good relationships with all our members. It's like, just like any other relationship. It's like, you know, it's about saying the right thing at the right time. And yeah, sometimes, like, everybody puts their foot in it, but hopefully.
Have you ever? Can you recall any stories of the worst time you put your foot in it?
Did I ever put my foot in it?
Yeah, you did. Don't.
Did I ever put my foot in it?
I can't recall any specifically, but I think it's very easy to forget those. Like you like forgetting and just let them just. Oh.
I think there was one. I think there was one stage that I was dealing with somebody, and they were in a very, very bad place. And like again, I didn't say much, but it was enough. I didn't show up as somebody else, but they showed up as someone drastically different. And I said something that I would have maybe always said to them, in terms of weighing in or accountability or stuff like that. And so they walked into the room, and I was still on the vibe of the conversation that I was already having, and I was kind of blah blah. I was already kind of like a bit like what would you say, feisty. I was being feisty,
Yeah, you're having fun. Yeah.
And they came in, and I was a little bit feisty to them, and they didn't respond too well. And then again, you apologize. Hey, look, I'm very sorry. I was only slagging you. I was only slagging you. And sometimes that. But again, that's relationships. Nobody gets it right 100% of the time. But the key is then obviously how you dress, and this is the whole thing. What the nutrition and stuff that we're talking about. Not everybody gets it.
Can you recall getting it 100% right? I feel like
I remember. I think I told you before. I remember one time I predicted the pregnancy. I got it, and they didn't know they were pregnant. That was right. That's all down to information. But yeah, no. Oh yeah, Peter is after losing, I think 20 odd kilo in the last 2 months because I challenged him.
20 kilo in 2 months.
I think maybe 3 months, but yeah,
there you go, 13.5.
30.5 kilo. Sorry, pounds. I was thinking pounds. 26 odd pounds. Absolutely insane in 2 or 3 months.
I was going to say,
Pete, how many? Convert it. And how many weeks is it, Pete? I'm very sorry, I didn't remember your exact figure, but it's 2 stone. It's over 2 stone. It's pretty incredible. 7 weeks, 13.5 kilo in 7 weeks, and
you've got a lot of people to remember.
Yeah, and that's because I challenged them in the right way.
I'd say 29.7 pounds.
I know somebody else, and I made a comment to them, and I barely even remember the comment, but I remember you can do it. I know you're not fit for it. I know if I was you, I wouldn't bother your arse. Obviously, completely been sarcastic because I know right well that they're capable of it, and they talk it personally, in a good way. They were like, "Oh, yeah. Fucking screw you."
I know exactly who you're talking about, and if they're listening right now, I think they listen pretty regularly. You know who we're talking about.
Exactly, yeah, and they took it super personal, and they absolutely smashed it. And again, there's loads of people like that who need that, and I work with loads of people at the minute, and they just don't need that at all. But at the same time, if you need to be doing the work. You need to work on yourself. There's no point in showing up with the best will in the world with, your nutrition. I've got a great nutrition plan. I've got a great goal list. It's what is going on with you? Like I said, is your mom in hospital? Is this the right season for you? Do you need to sort out your schedule? Do you need to sort out your work-life balance? Do you need to meditate? There's so many other areas in health and fitness and that are appropriate to weight loss that aren't just calorie tracking, getting it. It's if I give you, there's somebody you give a calorie target to and you give them a step target and they don't even ask any questions. You just go, that's enough information for me, no problem. And there's so many people who have so much going on in their life that they just need to start sieving through it in order to kind of figure out, it's right. For me, for dog's sake, sometimes it takes me 4 weeks to build up to a 6-week transformation because I need to get all my ducks in a row. I need to financially kind of get myself set up that I know what the budget is for a week. I know what I can afford in terms of food. I can base my meal plan around that. I need to understand, what season of my life am I at with my family and my kids. That's right. Well, what commitments do I have? How much time can I spare? In terms of my own workouts. What's the meal prep going to look like? How busy am I going to be on the weekends? How much extra training can I do? In terms of work, what kind of season am I at work? In terms of my own personal state at the minute, how have things been going with me? Am I very reactive? Am I in a state where I'm not really, everything's not going well? I'm showing up a little bit late to work and I'm going to bed a little bit late. My food's a little bit slow. It's I'm being sloppy. I'm in a sloppy state. It's I'm not going to be my best self. It's right. First thing I need to do is I need to listen to David Goggins. It's I need to get into that mindset again. I need to start figuring out the meal plan. I need to start kind of finding out some new recipes. the meal plan that I used 12 months ago, I'm just not in the form for it anymore. I'm not following that meal plan. It's not going to work for me. It's like, what do you need? But that's the kind of work that I am literally always doing. And I don't mind sitting for a 6-week period and looking at me like absolutely eating shit in terms of like, right, you missed the bedtime today. You're late again. Your protein's way off. You haven't got the discipline. Financially, you're in the toilet. You're not budgeting properly to get your meal plan in order. It's like, yeah, you're not being organized enough with your time. You're not being effective. One job's bleeding the other. Now you don't have as much time for walking or get your steps as ever. It's like there's so many different factors, but that's the smart work that needs done before you start going into the meal plan. Before you start going, right, meal plan for Monday. Start Monday, right? I'm ready to start Monday. It's like, are you really ready to start? Do you know yourself enough to say that Monday is the right time to start, or can you honestly say it's like, right, I need a week or two, and then it's real go time. Like then it's really time to change. Then when you ask me how things are going, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm eating. I'm going to tell you exactly what my calories are. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm working at. I'm going to tell you exactly my bedtime. I'm going to tell you exactly how much. It's like, when you ask somebody who's on the ball, they've got straight answers for you. As soon as you go, oh, hey, how's your protein going? It's like, oh, are you hitting your protein? Oh, yeah.
I think so.
I hit it mostly. It's like, what's your protein target? It's 3 servings a day. No. Let me see my fitness pal. Oh, I'm not using I've kind of only half tried. It's like, listen, we've all been there. I get it. But why you aren't there at the minute, it's like, as a coach as well, here's one thing that I do. It's like we obviously do 90-day goal reviews. And one of the most important things for me is when we have a goal review, I will not set goals for anybody. These are your goals. What are your goals? I want to call you back in 3 months' time and I want to review these goals. And I don't want you to say the same thing. It's like, oh, I don't really want that anymore. It's like, these are your goals. It's like, so either you didn't know what you wanted, which is fair enough, things change, but at least 70 or 80% of them you should stick to. Otherwise, I mean, you're just not being true to yourself, or you're kind of going with how you feel. It's like, we need to set goals that we really, really want, and they need to be personal to you. They need to be your goals. Like for talk it's like, if you say, it's like, oh, I want to lose this, it's like, oh, I want to lose fat. It's like, you're showing up. It's like, do you really? It's like, why? It's like, are you genuinely happy in your skin, or are you genuinely not happy in your skin? And if you're genuinely not happy in your skin, it's like, that is a big problem. To me, that's one of the biggest problems. Is why I am so, I said it before, and I want to change it to my mantra. I nearly want to be known for it. It's like, I am not okay with normalizing obesity. I'm not even okay with normalizing people being overweight. Like, I really am not. It's a movement that I just feel like our culture and society has just normalized obesity. Like, I know plenty of people that have died, like, and God rest them, of heart attacks. And, when you ask the family members, it's like, oh, how are you? What age are? Is everyone okay? Or are you shocked kind of thing? It's like, oh yeah, he was a healthy young fella. The man was 40 and he was, 2 stone overweight. And it's like, and to that man and to all his friends and his families, it's like, there's no judgment, but we've normalized to the point where they think that that's okay. And nobody encouraged him to change. Everybody's kind of supported, gave him the pat in the back and said, it's all right. Everyone's going well. You work hard. Like, people tell me all the time, it's like, I was like, oh, are you thinking about working out? It's like, oh no, I work plenty. I work hard plenty. I work hard everywhere else. It's like, I know you do, but it's different. Do we not understand that it's different? It's like, there's a big difference between, going to the park with the kids and playing with them and lifting weights that are 120 kilo deadlift with good form. You know what I mean? It's like, one's extremely good for you and one's important, So that's what I think about that.
So what do you think about people who just choose to be overweight? I think my belief is very libertarian, about it. It's like, you got one life. Here's the thing, right? Because you got one life, you get to live it whatever way you want. It's your choice. If you want to gain weight and you want to eat loads of food, eat all at the best places, all that sort of stuff, overindulge because you guys want you want to burn hot and fat, like, fucking do it. But if you're standing there looking in the mirror every single day, be like, I hate myself. Look at this. Like, oh man, with no self-esteem because of it. Because there's those people who are overweight, they've very high self-esteem. So you probably know that it's not really good for them. But they're like, that's
the difference. I've never seen one. And because I remember I thought I met a few. And then what about that rapper guy? The rapper guy that drives. Yes, 100%. So glad you brought him up. He started losing shitloads of weight.
Really?
Yeah, he's on it now. And he's one of the big ones for me. I completely agree with you. Active bronze. I was like, what an animal. Doesn't give a shit. Like fine food, fucking raps. Really sweet, really philosophical. Really intelligent. It's like, and again, no problem with his weight. No, not happy at all. Wasn't happy about it. Just kind of lost control. Didn't have the discipline. Didn't like how I looked. It's like that is legit. It's like, and anybody I've ever had that conversation, like I don't force my opinion on anybody, but from like I am completely biased now into having conversations with people in rooms where they're like, when you get down to it, like I'm really not happy. Do you ever get a spot in your face? You're not happy with it. Imagine having like literally a big belly. It's like people are so self-conscious about the littlest thing about themselves. Like, of course, when you're even just overweight, you're self-conscious. Like if people get a little bit too pudgy around the neck, they're like, oh, I really don't like myself. And in the conversation, like again, another conversation, I don't want to take profile pictures. Not progress photos, profile pictures. I don't want to upload a photo of myself. They're embarrassed of themselves, how they look. It's like that is not a good way to be, and I'm just not okay with standing for that because there's so many people who have literally just got so much more self-confidence once they lost the weight because they feel like themselves subjectively that they're better looking without the weight. And it's like, and I know so many people. I know so many people that's like this. But again,
I think healthy. I think healthy is more important than lean. You get me? Like healthy is more important.
But I mean, like, can we both agree that there's a healthy level of body fat?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
obviously.
I don't. Yeah,
I prefer like my thing now. After getting really lean, I prefer to be lean now. That's my thing. When I do get a little bit pudgy or whatever it is, like my mindset used to be something along the lines of like I still train every day. I'm really fit. I'm strong. Like I don't mind if I have a little extra body fat. It's fine. Yeah, like it didn't bother me that much. But then after I got really lean, I was like, oh, this is what I'm missing out on. That's what I think. Like I was happy where I was at, but the reason I was happy, the reason I was happy with it was because it didn't require as much like effort to change. And then at a certain point, like you just sort of you make the commitment, you see what it's like on the other side, and you're like, oh, this is way better.
100% agree. And the other side as well is like I am all like so back to what you said is like I completely agree. If you're genuinely 100% happy as you are, like generally, like make no changes 100%. Don't let anybody force their opinions and their goal and their outlook onto you. Like if you generally are happy in your heart of hearts, there's so many people who are working super hard to be super healthy and they're still not happy. So it's like if you're generally happy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. No problem at all. I would suggest try and make the move every once in a while. Just again, like Chris did, test it out, see how it feels. Maybe you feel better. Maybe you can feel even happier. Maybe you could have even more confidence, even though you're already confident and happy.
One of the cool things that I got from it was the confidence in showing up for myself. Like I knew that I could consistently rely on myself to show up and do the work and put in the effort. Whereas before I did it, there was always a little bit of doubt in my mind. I was like, will I be able to do it? Will I be able to be consistent? And every single time I showed up every single day. And if I missed the day or whatever it was, like I knew I was getting back on it. It was like it wasn't a choice. It wasn't a thing. And that like in terms of like self-esteem, that was a big game changer in terms of self-esteem. Like that really does improve everything. Like being able to show for yourself.
That's what the whole David Goggins thing is all about. It's like do something shit every single day. It's like this is like if you have a little thought, and that thought is why the cold water thing is such a big thing for me, because it was always just lurking there in the back of my mind. It's not a big deal. I'm not unhealthy, and maybe it wouldn't change my life. Like, I mean, I would argue again. The science would argue that maybe it would. But the thing for me was literally just the fact that I couldn't do it, and I didn't want to do it, and I just felt like it's like, God forbid, there should be anything that's ever uncomfortable. I would be the type of character that knows right well that I couldn't even have a cold shower. Why the hell would I be able to do that? And so what is it? It's like, right, again, we all are aware of our vices. So it's like, we like Pop-Tarts. You go home every day and you stick 2 Pop-Tarts in the toaster. And again, at a certain level, you're super lean. But the issue is, it's that you haven't got the choice to do it anymore. It's like once it becomes that you've lost control and you've lost the discipline, it's like, yeah, you don't get that super self-confidence. You know what I mean? Self-esteem. Self-esteem comes from showing yourself that you can be dependable, that you're reliable, that no matter what. And again, this is not something I heard in a podcast quite recently was about punishing yourself. What do you think about punishing yourself?
What do I think about it?
Like for talk's sake.
I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a good mindset to take, and I don't think I think I know where you're coming from in terms of like behavioral conditioning.
No, not even that. Like, for talk's sake, like, these cold showers for me, no, I never realized that I did this before, but I do this all the time to myself. I punish myself, but it's not because I did anything. It's because I know that it's good to suffer. That's the difference. Like, I never.
Right. I think your whole framing around this is wrong. I think saying punish yourself. All right. I think you're locked in on the David Goggins mindset. I just want to challenge you on this. Just change the framing.
David Goggins out of this.
Just again, like, you're not. I don't think you're wrong, but I think your framing around it is incorrect. And I think the words are important that we use. I think it's very important that you say, instead of punish yourself, you challenge yourself. And I think that changes the frame around it entirely. And I think challenging yourself daily is incredibly important. Whether that challenge is to withstand suffering, like, it's still a challenge. It's not, you're not punishing yourself literally. Like, when I think of the word punish, it's like, make yourself feel bad, physically, emotionally, mentally, blah, blah, blah. That's punishing. That's punishing yourself. And I think, like, that's not, or even being self-destructive, like where you overeat, completely abandon your diet, all that sort of stuff. I think challenging yourself is a lot more constructive and positive, rather than thinking of it as in, like, punishing yourself. Challenging yourself to see how much you can withstand, I think, is very, very good.
Yeah, I get that. And I did that for the longest time, but it didn't change my mindset. My mindset was still seek comfort. But as soon as I heard it was Liver King, say which one about Liver King and Bert Kreischer, but they talked about, like, it's like, I do things to myself punitively, like, they punish themselves. And as soon as they said that, like, that was a eureka moment for me. I was like, I've never in my life, because I'm so comfort seeking, I've never once punished myself just for punishment's sake. Like, just like let's toughen up here a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, let's go. But again, maybe saying this on a podcast unthought out is maybe not the best idea in the world. But I'm just thinking out loud here. Like, for me,
that's, my head's going somewhere else, Brandon. It's,
for me, it was again, I'm only sharing it because for me it was a massive breakthrough. Because for somebody who constantly seeks comfort and again was looking for a hack or was looking for, most efficient or effective way, like, I've never literally just said, it's like, actually, we're literally just doing this just because it feels shit and you need it, Now, and again, I would never do it to anybody, from a coaching perspective. But again, like, I would certainly challenge anybody. It's like, whatever you feel like you would not enjoy, it's like, I feel like you should go do that. Like, and again, for me, that was
so the difference. I think the difference psychologically, again, with back to the challenge thing, like, you have to be willing to confront it. If you don't have the will to do it, well, then, like, it's just, like, say it, it's not good. Yeah. It's not good. It's going to break you down. Like, if I tell you have to,
I don't know why the punitive thing stuck with me then. Like, why did that just crack the code for me?
There's something deep in there, Brian.
Wrong with me. Stop wrong with me. Help me. I don't know, but because I remember, like, challenge. I just feel like I've done challenges the entire time, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe it was because it was self-punitive, but I maybe just never thought of it like that before. Like, I feel like because I just seek comfort so much, I felt like, putting yourself there just.
Does it make you feel tough? Does it make you feel tough and resilient?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's why you like it, and I think that's an ideal for you that you strive to embody, and because you want to embody it, here's an opportunity that you can do that every single day. And you're like, look at this fucking great thing that I can do to embody the thing that I hold in such high self-esteem. Everyone, look, when I do it, here's all the benefits to it. This is bloody great.
But the thing about it, no, it's the opposite. Well, obviously, like, I'm sure it is an ideal that I hold,
it's the opposite.
No, but for me, it's like, it's not. I'm sure it's something that I hold idea, but it's like, for me, it's like, it's not like this is something that I am. This is actually something that I need. It's like, it's not actually that I, like, because again, like, I don't see myself as strong. I don't see myself as resilient. That's one of the reasons why the cold shower thing was such a big deal, because
exactly.
I felt like I needed it.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's why you hold it in such a high ideal, and you want to be like that. That's the thing. Yeah. And, like, usually the reason we hold these ideals is because they are opposites. Like, they highlight our weaknesses, and like for someone who's mean and bitter all the time, like, you might see someone being really sweet, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's so nice. I wish I could be like that." Do you get me? That's something that would be revelatory to them. Do you get me? When they see how positive it could be. There was something that you said earlier, and I don't know if I can recall it. Darn it! No, I think it's gone. There was it was a good point on. No, it's gone. It's gone.
Go on, there you go. Everybody in the podcast world, forget about that thought. I hope.
Forget about it. If it comes back, I'll jump in and I'm going to interrupt you very rudely because I had it in my thought. I let up a big smile. I see myself in the thing. I was like, oh. And then I was letting you finish, and then it's gone.
So what we were talking about initially was obviously, people just kind of taking this whole thing laissez-faire. You can live your dream, you can live your want, and you can just do whatever you want. I hope by the end of this podcast you understand it's like, look, it's just not realistic. That's never going to happen for anybody across anything. But you are, of course, supposed to take reprieves. Like, nobody is expected to put themselves against a grindstone 24/7. I feel like seasons are one of the most important factors with change and growth. It's like, look, even the top athletes have an off season. They've got a pre-season, then they've got their 12-week program or 24-week program, and then they've got ramp up. It's like we have to be tip top, peak physique for this period of time, and then after that we're going to start to taper off. And so it's like that's maybe for you again. Maybe for you, here's the issue for some people is that they do that all that happens in the space of a week, right? So it's like. That's a bit of an issue. It's like we can't taper off every bloody weekend. It's like, but again, maybe for you, if you are literally struggling for the day, fair enough. But maybe if your taper off period is setting you back some, that's what needs to be programmed a little better. We can't just it's not worth your while, and it's very self-defeating to work, and then land on like if you work, and then rest. And then you end up back where you started. It's like you're going to be basically going around in circles. But if we can rest enough that we start off next Monday ahead of where we were last Monday, that's all you need. And something
that I've seen clients do a few times now is they'll be in that cycle. So it'll be like work, back down to baseline, undo all the work, back down to baseline, undo all the work. And they'll do that for a cycle. And I've literally seen someone do it for 2 years. And then they just all of a sudden, with all the experience that they've built up in this little thing, they finally escape the cycle.
Yeah. Me,
like
I was a big one. I did that for 4 years before I actually kicked things off. And again, you just have to remember is like it doesn't seem impressive to anybody. It doesn't seem impressive. But if you're the little engine that could, if you're like, I know what I'm doing, and you're like, because I knew I was doing it, but I knew right well that everybody around me just thought I was a waster, and which is fair enough, but I'll show you. And that's like, I remember there was a period after when I got injured. When I got injured first, it was before I got injured. Actually, funny enough, it was before we started the strength and conditioning course. The strength and conditioning course was the thing that really set me up. And up until that point, I knew I was living on a very small amount of my potential. I was still kind of coaxing off what I did on my last season in the box, and I just started going out with Chloe, and I just started into college, and things were starting to slip, and I could feel myself doing things that I knew that if I had self-discipline, I wouldn't be doing, or at least I wouldn't be doing that often. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be eating shy, I wouldn't be drinking the weekend, this kind of stuff. And so it's like, right, if that's the case, what do I need to be, or who do I need to become, or what's the process? And for me, it was like looking up the foot of the mountain. And again, there was periods of time where I knew that what I was doing, again, like for talk's sake, Pilates, when I first started doing Pilates, people didn't give a shit. And it wasn't until I started noticing, again, you create the change, and then people go, people start to take notice, and then that becomes a thing. And then again, you start another project, and maybe it's something else, it's like, maybe it's not Pilates, maybe it's foam roller, and people are like, it's not that impressive. It's like, I'm going to get somewhere when I get somewhere. And I was like running, he's going for a run. All right, cool. I was like, no, I'm going for a run like every fucking day, or I'm going to run. But again, eventually we start, like exactly like you said, we start to build this little pyramid, and it's like, it's not until I think that you start to create that progress and people kind of see that spark and that upward spiral that things start to go impressive. But that initial log of information, that can take weeks or months or years, depending on the person. And everybody kind of compares it to the person who takes it up right away. But I mean, like I think you have to be kind of conscious of the process.
I agree.
What do you think? Like, do you think that you can just kind of eddy mindlessly and still that can still happen, or do you think that it's a conscious process?
So I think it can be both. I think people go through phases where they're conscious and unconscious and conscious and unconscious. When I say that, I mean like drifting versus living with purpose, purpose. And I think even the time where you are being unconscious, you're basically or purposeless. You're acting out all your habitual behaviors. You're acting out all that sort of stuff. And I think spending time doing that Joe, it's not like you're asleep. Joe, it's not like you're asleep. You're just acting out things that are comfortable and normal and routine to you. And Joe, like dealing with all your coping mechanisms, all that sort of stuff. And then you'll have a wee spark of purpose, and you'll get very, very far. And then you'll probably go back down into your wee cycle of purposelessness and listlessness because it's a different season, huh?
Relapse.
Yeah, but it's not even a real the way I'm sort of visualizing this is like, you know, like a staircase. The staircase is going up like this. And you step. You're in a wheel. Step. In a wee circle. Then you step. Like you escape the circle, you take a few steps, and then you start spiraling a little bit. But like it's in the same spot. You're not like ever going completely back because you always have experience. You always build from experience. Yeah, like one of the coolest things when I started getting really lean was like I got really, really familiar with how how little I needed to eat, like how actually little I needed to eat to actually get lean, Joe. And it's like it was less than I thought. It was less than I wanted. And then, Joe, when I sort of fell off a little bit and I started gaining a little bit of weight back, I was like in my head, like I was eating normally. I was like, I'm going back to eating normally. You know what I mean? I was like normally was overeating. Now again, there is like your perspective can be skewed from your situation and your experience. Like even though I could consciously tell you exactly how much you should be eating, I was still like, just because I restricted so much, I was like, I don't know if it's unconsciously invested in overeating, if that makes sense. I wanted to get it back, if that makes sense. I wanted to make up for the lost times, but not like I wasn't deciding that. You know, I wasn't deciding like I want to do it. It was like there was a drive underneath that. But now that I have that experience, Joe, I know like the next time I get out, like I'm getting lean way more consistently, with way less effort, and it's not as drastic or as strict. And like the step, like when I put the pause button, I don't think I took like really, really big steps back. It was like a pause, and then I'm coming back up the stairs again, and then a pause, and I think that's the way it can work as well. Yeah. Does that make sense?
That's what I'm talking about. Like I don't mind a pause. I think a pause is good for everybody. I think everybody needs it. But I think what we were talking about initially with start is, you know, people who push, and then that's it. That's it, done. Never push again. Just pause. Just terminally on pause. It's like I don't think that's that.
Actually, no, Joe, what? No, I've seen that happen. I've seen the pause turn bad, and yeah, it's not good. The pause turns back. I've seen it. There's someone that I see pretty regularly, and they're not like that there, but they used to be, and they stopped showing up to the gym, and they're in a lot worse position than they were, and they're not doing anything like that, and it's not nice. It's not nice to see. It's like.
That's the cool thing about growth is that your new change becomes baseline, and so that's why continual positive growth is good to see in people, because realistically, it doesn't matter what, like even if you started settling now, I'd noticed that you're settling. I'm like, I know you're better than average, but you're still not. Wait
there. Start fucking settling as soon as you're like, what are you doing? As soon as you're like, little buddy, you just start posting. You're like, what are you doing? This is why like the people you surround yourself is so important. As soon as I start like being complacent, you're like, if I missed a workout this morning, you're like, where were you this morning? Huh? But I have to justify it.
Exactly. But my point is exactly that. It's like you're still, you know, in my opinion, you know, you're still one of the top tier, you know, athletes that we have here in the entire fucking gym, because, you know, we're just dealing with people who've never maybe had any athletic experience or whatever, they're not coaches. But the thing about it is like, I don't care where you're starting. I just want to see you growing. I just want to see you growing. You can take breaks by all means, no problem. But again, follow through your goals, commit your promises, and continue and consistently grow. Guys, we've been told here to wrap it up at least 17 times. Everybody's in a hurry. You got to shoot off. Guys, thanks so much for jumping on. Don't forget to follow us on all the socials. You can get us on Instagram, fighting_fit. You can get us on YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel. That's right. You got a podcast here. You can watch that on YouTube. You can get us on Podbean. You can get us on Spotify. We're all over the shop. We're also on TikTok, so don't forget to follow us on TikTok. Don't forget to follow our personal pages. I am the FF Movement Coach on Instagram, and Chris is
FF Chris M.
And that's a wrap, guys. Thanks as always. We will see you in the next one.